Hello everybody and welcome back to Pravus Gaming and more Plague Inc. Evolved custom scenarios. Got another request today. This one is called Bubble Fungus, which is just an awesome name. What does it mean? I don't know. We're gonna find out. A strange type of fungi in the Caribbean which pumps out bubbles containing spores. Happens to pump out bubbles containing spores which turns into fungus. Okay. This only happens every couple centuries. Oh wow, rare occasion. Recently releases spores that created the fungus, but this time around the fungus was able to make it. The first human is now infected. Go infect the world and make humans go extinct. Second scenario, let's see. Just go with it, please. Well, sure, why not? There are custom combos in event and government actions. Oh, interesting. All right, let's take a look. We have the ATP boost, genetic mimic, Derasite, extremophile, and Transasis to start, and it's called Sporus Bublis. Sounds like badly mangled pig Latin. Basically Harry Potter spells. Alright, you are a very rare fungus. You are extremely rare and you have arrived on a human for the first time. You are very weak, but later on you will become the most dangerous disease known to mankind. Keep going forward. Now that you've infected the first human, you only go forward. Vier, spelled wrong, is no looking back. Fungi don't generally look anywhere, so I wouldn't be too worried about it. Transmission. Let's see, we got bubbles. Fungus releases a thin, soapy film substance with an iridescent surface around itself and releases spores into it. Okay, then there is fruit. Fungus grows onto food which can be eaten by animals. Something about fleas, birds, spore burst, infect a new country. Yes. Water, and normal air. Okay, looking for any custom descriptions there. So yeah, bubbles, interesting. Okay, symptoms, rash, and cysts. And that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and grab both of those because they're both pretty good. Abilities. We have cold resistance, heat resistance, drug resistance, and our digressive instability. Fungus fuses with mutated genes from a virus, which expands until it combusts, causing instability in the DNA strains of the body. Mutated genes from a virus and it expands until it combusts? The fungus catches on fire. I'm guessing this is supposed to lead to genetic mutation chance, but that's an interesting thing to envision. Okay. Pressurized shell. Air in spores and bubbles becomes compressed and very dense. This allows single-celled organism to inhabit a bubble. Is that supposed to be a bacteria? And if that's the case, is it just the bacterial hardened shell stuff? So basically you're taking the fungus and you're throwing in the special abilities of the fungus, of the bacteria and of the virus, and then moved spore burst back here. Interesting choice there, sir. Very interesting indeed. Alright, well, let's go with it anyway. See what happens there. Yeah, the idea behind some sort of fungus keeping its spores contained within bubbles is not the worst idea in the world. Kind of makes a little sense. It's some sort of like protective shell. I can get behind that. Let's go for the air transmission to increase our chances of spreading in Saudi Arabia. Now, I would use spore bursts normally, but if I don't know how many we have, then maybe it's not worth the risk. That might be my pocket solution to get into Greenland later if I need it. So we'll hold off for the time being. Maybe it becomes useful later. I don't know. We could go for Bubbles, though, which is very effective. So let's go for that. Bubbles 2. Gases are released and then compressed until they reach certain pressure in the bubble to keep it from collapsing. Yes, depending on the depth of the bubble and the pressure around it, yes. As long as the bubble is sufficiently pressurized inside of it, it can survive and will not be crushed by the outside pressures. If that's what you're going for. Bubbles 3. Fungus releases a wax-like substance in the bubble, which acts as a shield against bacteria, until I then allow the bacteria inside, like their own new apartment building. Hello, I am your tenant, the Bubble Fungus. Welcome to your new home, single-celled organism. Oh, I'm so excited. Alright, let's go for a bit more air transmission. We are spreading around pretty quickly right now, and part of that is because the bubble stuff, very, very good. Pretty high stats. We'll get around way faster that way. Let's go for some more water transmission. I want to make sure I get into some of these islands. Now that we are getting into some of the cold places, let's try getting, well, I would say let's get some cold transmission, but let's instead go for a bit of severity first. We have sweating, and we have anemia. Then we have foaming. Inability to swallow causes the salivary glands to produce too much saliva with 1 O instead of 2, increases infectivity. Inflammation. And this one looks to be pretty standard. Okay, now we're starting to get to a little bit of lethality, so I'm a little bit more concerned, I guess. But okay, let's go for that cold transmission. And you know what? Let's throw in a pressurized shell. Why not? I like the idea of the bacterial tenant. We'll stick with that. thematically, that's what we're going to go for the rest of the game. Drug resistance. There's a third option right here. What could it be? More cold resistance would be good. Let's go for foaming. Hypersalivation. Inflammation of the submandibular gland increases saliva production and infection rates. Oh, sounds pretty good. I guess we probably should go for that. Boom. And then we have Malignant Pigmentation. Skin pigmentation increasing chance of mutation when exposed to sunlight and harder to cure. Are we turning people into plants again? We've done that before. I kind of doubt it, but it'd be fun. Hypersensitivity is very good in the wealthy countries, so we'll probably want to pick that up once we get the chance. Seems to me like we're spreading around just fine, almost like I don't need the extra spore burst, but we'll find out. There's a Malignant Pigmentation. That leads to polyphagia. So we start continuously eating. Systemic infection, immune suppression, and skin lesions. I'll go for that for a bit of extra infectivity and severity for more DNA from these red bubbles. What are we missing at this point? A few islands primarily, and that's really kind of it. Exploding gaseous combo unlocked. The cysts bursting cause large gases to form under the skin because of skin lesions. Okay, cool. Then there's internal hemorrhaging. We could start working toward a bit of lethality, but I think I'll hold off on that for the time being. Not sure we really need any extra transmission options, so maybe we just hold on to the DNA for the time being and see if I get into all these islands. I mean, there's Greenland right there. There's the Caribbean. We're missing the Philippines. And that's about it. And there we are. We have the Philippines. Okay, I guess we can just start ramping up the lethality now. Internal hemorrhaging, immune suppression, systemic infection, tumors, growth pathways causing uncontrolled, eventually fatal tumor growth, diarrhea, better in the poor countries, and air embolism. Accumulation of gases and air in the blood causes high blood pressure, shortage of breath, and death. I'd be far more worried about the air bubbles that can get through your brain and actually kill you. So, yeah, air bubbles in your blood system are incredibly dangerous, guys. I mean, that is way more dangerous than high blood pressure. That's what I would be worried about. If I were you, just saying. Let's go for the air embolism. Chemical body toxins. Fungus releases neurotoxins and other chemicals which are released into the bloodstream that kills and deteriorates red blood cells and tissue. Very lethal. Yes, please. Acute encephalitis. Lesions in the brain. Ingrown fungus. Homegrown, practically. It's organic. Homemade. A mom-and-pop shop fungus. Starts to grow inside of the organs. Fungus invades space in the organs, which can ultimately kill the organs. You do have to be a little bit careful about organs getting too compressed. I find that, what was it? I was reading some sort of medical study. Men are at a much higher likelihood of something like that happening, but yeah, you don't want to have your organs too restricted. It's one of the reasons if you never have any belly fat, you need to be concerned, because it could mean that you're actually building up a load of fat around your internal organs, and at some point it could be dangerous. Even if you look nice and skinny, you may not be. Something to be concerned about. All right, let's go for the ingrown fungus. That leads to a coma. Then we have total brain death and hypertension. Blood clots, swelling of the heart, ultimately kill the heart. Makes sense. Acute encephalitis and brain decay. Inflammation in the cranium, encephalitis, occupies room which kills neurons and tissue, which ultimately makes the brain decay. Don't think we're going to have a chance to get to that, but in the meantime, yeah, that worked out pretty darn well for us. It's a pretty fine scenario. I really don't know why the author would be too concerned about it not making sense. It seems fine. I mean, as much as anything in Plague Inc. makes sense these days. I mean, not everything has to be a real-world scenario, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't have a problem with the idea of a fungus that lives deep below the ocean, and the spores can travel inside of little air bubbles and get released into the atmosphere. And it's a very rare chance of it working, but when it does, boy, howdy, it's deadly. I can get behind that. Nothing wrong with it at all. I would check out for some of the grammar mistakes and such. Otherwise, the balancing seems okay. I would say that the early transmission with the bubbles might be a little bit too strong. But beyond that, you know, there you go. So yeah, I think it's a fine scenario. I'll say that I liked it, absolutely. Thank you all very much for watching. I do hope that you enjoyed. If so, then be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time.